What do you do when life gives you lemons? Well, you cut them open, you take the seeds out, you plant the seeds, and you grow your own lemon tree. So let's do it. Hey, it's Elise. I'm glad you stopped by. We're in the kitchen right now. Still raining outside. I've got a couple of really pretty lemons. I didn't grow these. They did come from the store. And we're going to be working on the lemons today. I had a lemon tree years ago. It got old. It froze one year. We had a really bad freeze, and we lost it. Then I bought another lemon tree, a little grafted lemon tree. It was doing pretty good. We had a really bad hurricane. We flooded, and the lemon tree sat in the flooded ground for a couple of weeks. It died. So I'm going to plant some lemon seeds. Wish me luck. Before we start, though, I just want to share one little thing with you. Lemons don't always come true to seed. They don't always come true to seed, which means they won't be an exact clone of the parent plant. But don't let that stop you. It could actually be better. It could be about the same, or it could be worse. Now, according to lots of research that I have done on lemons, lemons produce really good seedlings. And most of the time, not always, but most of the time, seedlings can be stronger, more vigorous growing, and more disease and insect resistant than grafted trees. Not always. But you can use these now for great rootstock if you don't like the lemons. It does take a little while for lemons to grow from seed to produce fruit. But just remember, lemons is one of that fantastic citrus fruits that the trees are gorgeous. You can grow them just for the tree, the ornamental tree, even if you don't like the fruit. And they can be grown as houseplants. Oh, let's get started. Wish me luck on the seeds. Lately, most of the citrus that we have bought from the grocery store has been seedless. Now, there are times in nature where you can find a naturally occurring piece of fruit that does not have seeds, and that's usually the ones that growers like to propagate and use. But also, there is produce and fruit that are seedless now because of engineering. All right, I'm not going to cut it all the way through because if it has seeds, I don't want to cut the seed up. Really juicy. Let me put this little bowl over here in case lots of juice comes out. I can save my juice. Didn't quite cut it in the middle. Well, I do see some seeds. Wow. So that is really, really nice. Oh, I can't tell you how good this smells. The fragrance is just unbelievable. And you know, we use lemon as a natural color retardant. Like you can put it on avocados so they don't turn brown. You can put it in fruit so they don't turn brown. You can use it for a seasoning, as a dressing. You can infuse oils. You can infuse vinegars. You can just use lemon in the kitchen in your cooking in so many ways. All right. That really wasn't enough juice to worry about, so I'm going to go ahead and take some of these seeds out. And those are nice, fat seeds. We'll talk about seeds more when we actually start planting them. After I finish the lemons, as soon as it dries up enough that I can go outside, we'll go out and we'll plant these seeds. I also have some young seedlings that I need to uppot, and we'll do that too. You can see what the young seedling looks like. I really love red grapefruit, really. Doesn't matter what variety, I love red grapefruit. And I have been really, really disappointed lately because all of the red grapefruit that we got was seedless, or they would have 1 or 2 seeds. Citrus in general. Now, I'm in the United States. I'm in Zone 9B. We grow citrus very well here. We do have an occasional freeze. I'm going to go ahead and juice these. This is my mom's old juicer, but you know, it works fantastic. Anyway, we grow citrus very well here. Once in a while, we do have a bad freeze. Citrus is not native to North America. It's not native to Florida, California, Arizona, Louisiana, all of the warm states where you normally see citrus industries in the United States. It's not native to anywhere in the New World. Citrus is actually native to Asia. And it was brought over by, guess who, in 1493? Christopher Columbus. Citrus came to Florida and California in about the 19th century. And have you ever heard of the problem that the early settlers used to have on the ships when they were crossing the ocean? They would get a disease called scurvy. Well, a Dr. James Linds, Linds, he did lots of experiments on the seamen suffering from scurvy. He found that if he added some lemon juice or citrus juice to their diets, that they didn't get scurvy. Now, he didn't know why. Vitamin C hadn't been discovered yet. Vitamin C hadn't been named. But thanks to him, lots of sailors made the trip. Now, this isn't going to be wasted. I can compost the rinds. Also, they've been doing studies on putting citrus rinds, especially lemon, around your plants to deter pests. So I can actually cut this up and use it out in the garden. I can make lemon tea for fertilizers. Before you actually cut it up, you could take it and zest it and use your zest in your cooking. There are people who strip the lemon peels and make tea out of it. You can make candied peels out of it. Neat. Now, I don't put lemon in my vermicompost beds. That's just me. Some people do. I sometimes will put a little sweet orange flesh because worms like sweet stuff. But the acidic peels, I do not. And the peels and that little white pith, right underneath the peels, is where lots of the oils are. Those volatile oils that gives it that great smell that you make essential oils out of, you make potpourri out of. So you can strip this, dry it, and use it for potpourri. Lots of uses. I'm going to go ahead and cut this one up. I used to get free lemons. The neighbor on the other side of me had this great old heirloom tree. I mean, it must have been 100 years old. And every year when it would bloom, and it made those great big, huge lemons, I could walk out in my backyard and find a lemon or two. Well, I really don't think the neighbor was throwing me over a lemon or two. I think it was the animals trying to scamper off with this great big lemon, and they dropped it. And it was not unusual to go out every time the lemons were ready and find a lemon or two in my backyard. And I would actually go out and spend time looking for it. Now, like I said, this is my mom's little old juicer. If you had a bunch of lemons to juice, you might want to invest in an electric juicer or an attachment to your blender that would juice it for you. So those are done. Now, next step. Lots of seeds in here. I don't want to waste this juice. I find, for me personally, because we don't have a very large family, and I don't use all that much lemon, but I always like to keep some fresh lemon on hand. The best thing to do is to take an ice tray, or this is what works for me. There's many ways to do this. And then just pour the lemon juice in. You can go ahead and strain it first if you wish, but I don't mind a little pulp. There went a seed, that's okay. Another little seed. Those aren't even real seeds, they haven't developed. And they'll be fine. I can fish them out with a spoon. Nice. So this is going to go into the freezer, just like this. When this is frozen, I can either go ahead, pop the cubes out, put the individual cubes in a bag. That way, when I'm cooking and I want a little piece of fresh lemon, a little touch of fresh lemon, I just take out a frozen cube. Or I can just leave them in the ice tray if you have extra ice trays. I would go ahead, though, and slip it into a Ziploc bag or something after it's frozen. But that's up to you. But this is a very easy, convenient way to save your lemon juice. And of course, you can use it right away and make lemonade. And I think there was a little one there. Well, I will get these out before I put them in the freezer. So that's it. That takes care of my lemon juice. Now I'm just going to dump these out. Make sure I get all my good seeds. To prep your seeds for cooking, for planting, you just want to wash them. What I usually do is I put them in a strainer over a bowl, and I'll run these under my kitchen faucet, or if you're doing this outside, under your garden hose, and wash all of the membrane off of the seeds. If you're planting immediately, which is highly suggested, I don't bother drying them. But what you want is big, fat seeds, not little bitty ones. And we'll talk more about seeds when these have been cleaned off and we're actually going to plant them. But there are some nice seeds in there to plant. Wow, I am happy about that. And you know, lemons have been around for, a very long time. I mean, back to the 1st century, back to ancient Rome, back to Persia, Iraq, Egypt. And they've even found records and literature about lemons in the 10th century Arabic treatise on farming. Now, I would love to read the 10th century Arabic treatise on farming, if it was in English. Now, we know vitamin C is healthy for us. It's high in C's, lemons are very healthy for us. It's high in vitamin C, phytochemicals. Lemons is more acidic than limes. It has twice the citric acid as grapefruit and 5 times more than orange juice. In general, again, there's always exceptions. You can use the juice, the rind, the peel, the flesh, and the leaves. The leaves are fantastic. You can make lemon teas. You can use them in your cosmetics. You can use them for essential oils, potpourris. You can throw a couple of lemons down in some vinegar or oil. You can use them as an herb in your cooking. And as I mentioned before, they are a short-term preservative to stop food from browning. Really nice. And lemon oil is used a lot in cleaners, seasonings, and for skin aromatherapy. Planting, very easy. Full sun. Don't plant out until you're at least 50 degrees. They are considered tropical. Most tropical plants do not like anything under 60 degrees, but they will tolerate 50. So if you're planting these out before you've warmed up, put them in a little hothouse, keep them in a sunroom, in a sunny window or something like that. Or you can tent them and make their own little hothouse. Growing is very easy. Medium water, medium food. And it is suggested that you remove the water shoots, which is those young shoots that come from the bottom. Sometimes with seedlings, you're going to get thorns. You can cut those thorns off if they bother you. It doesn't hurt the plant. How neat. Grow your own lemon. And you've seen photos, I'll see if I can find one, of just the perfect looking little lemon tree all full of these beautiful, great big lemons. So grow it as a houseplant, grow it outside if you're warm enough. And again, it is considered a tropical fruit. Probably 9, 10, and 11 is your planting zone. Again, grow inside. They don't get real large and you can keep them pruned back. If you want to increase the bushiness of your plant, just go ahead and prune it or trim it all around. If you've got one in the house as a house plant, just come along every so often and tip it off. And if you are pruning your plants outside, wait till after they have produced fruit and then prune them off. Especially if you're in like zones 9 and 10, where we tend to have warm days, cool days, warm days, cool days until we actually hit spring and summer. If you cut a tropical tree back too soon, you might not get any fruit. If you cut it back too soon, what might happen, it starts putting out new growth. Then we get a cold spell. All that new growth is killed back. So just be a little patient. I always wait on my tropical plants that produce fruit till they've produced all the fruit they're going to do for that year, and then I cut them back, if I'm going to cut them back. That gives them lots of time to put out new growth. That new growth hardens off, gets established before we go into the next winter period. Lemons. Oh, goodness. I can't tell you how great these smell. And, of course, cooking anything you can imagine, you can put lemons in. Lemon cake, pies, puddings, muffins, anything. All right, that's it. I'm going to clean these off. And since I can't get outside right now because of the rain, what I'm going to do is just wash them really well. I'm going to lay them down between a couple of layers of damp paper towels and put them in a bag. Now, if I left them too long, there is a chance that they would go ahead and sprout. The wet paper towel method is used a lot to sprout seeds. And like I said, when these are cleaned off, we'll talk a little bit more about seeds. Do you know about polyembryonic and monoembryonic? Talk to you soon. Well, it's still raining outside, so I can't get out. So let me share with you what I do to finish getting the seeds ready to plant. Now, there's all different kind of ways to do this. Everybody does it a little different. Citrus seeds are usually classified as recalcitrant, although some of them now they're kind of putting into the intermediate stage. Recalcitrant just means you can't get them completely dry, you can't freeze them, they don't hold their viability a very long time. In other words, you need to plant them as soon as you can. If they dry out, that's it. I'm not saying if you have 10 seeds, they dry out, you might plant them, you might get 1 or 2 to germinate. There's always that possibility. So if you have a bunch of dried seeds, go ahead and try it anyway. Just dump it in a pot and try it. I would soak them a little while first and try it. It's not going to hurt. But generally, citrus seeds are recalcitrant and need to be planted as soon as possible. Again, they have been doing research and have been extending that classification into the intermediate arena, that you can keep them for a little while longer if you put them in a paper bag or a plastic bag and put them in the refrigerator to keep them cool. You can extend the shelf life. All right, I have washed these and washed these and washed these, and there's still a little goo around here. This is what I do to finish off the goo. You can see all the goo left in here. That's a scientific name for the membrane. Okay. I just dump them out on a washcloth, a dishcloth, an old t-shirt, and I just gently rub. This gets the remainder of the goo off. I also do this on my papaya seeds, my pomegranate seeds. And it does help to get all that, the remainder of the membrane off. Now, on some seeds, that membrane can have a growth retardant in it, and it's there on purpose to keep the seeds from germinating too fast. But that is not on all seeds, just so you know. All right. So that's pretty good. And what you want is the big, fat, juicy seeds that you can actually see the embryo swelling up in the seed. These little bitty young flat ones probably won't make it. And if you get something like that, that's just a remnant of a seed where it never developed. Don't even waste your time. But of course you can just go ahead and throw it in the pot. It will break down. It's a little nutrient maybe. So what you want is these great big fat seeds. Nice. Since I'm not going to store these for any length of time, if there is any little membrane left on it, it's fine. So now, since I can't get outside and I don't want these to start drying out, I'm just going to put them on a paper towel. The paper towel is a little moist. And if you want to try to germinate the seeds via the wet paper towel method, this is what you would do. And you would just go ahead and leave them in the paper towel until they started germinating. I would spread them out a little bit more, give them a little more room than I'm doing. But I'm going to be planting mine out in the soil and pots, so I'm not doing the wet paper towel method. Now, I might change my mind and save a few of them, because, hey, it's my seeds. I can do whatever I want to, right? It's your seeds. Do whatever you want to do with them. Fold it over. This is damp paper towel. Lightly press it around. I have a Ziploc bag. I'm just going to slide them in. Again, if you are going to try to germinate your seeds through the wet paper towel method. This is all you do. I close my bag. Some people don't. Some people leave it completely open. Some people leave it halfway open. Make sure you write on here what the seeds are and the date, and then put these somewhere warm so that they can go ahead and germinate. Since I'm going to be taking most of mine out to plant as soon as I can get outside, I'm not going to write on here yet. If I do decide to keep some of them in the bag to use the wet paper towel method of germination, then I'll come back and put the name and the date. Neat, huh? So, my seeds are done, and as soon as I can get out, we'll go out and plant them. It's time to plant my lemon seeds, but before I do, I want to show you the young seedlings that I started a little while back out of lemons. I believe these are the variety Eureka, which is the most common lemon in the grocery store. I know they aren't Myers because Myers lemons are very expensive. So, little seedlings, aren't they neat? And this one I'm really interested in. It has 2 stems. And I mentioned polyembryonic and monoembryonic. And you'll see even on my labels, I wrote lemon mono, and on that label it says lemon poly, because I thought I had a couple of lemon seeds that looked polyembryonic, but none of them came up. So, a polyembryonic is a multiple embryos. You know, the little swollen part in the seed. A monoembryonic means it has 1 embryo. It's going to produce 1 stem, 1 root system. Poly means it can have multiple stems, and that was why I was kind of interested in this one that has 2 stems right on top of each other. You can have multiple stems and multiple root systems. Lots of tropical fruit and lots of other varieties of fruits and plants have this ability to be mono or polyembryonic. So why do we care? Okay, if you're a home gardener like me, I am really not anal about whether or not the seed comes true. Because I know I might get something better, something equal, and if it's worse, I still have a wonderful seedling. Seedlings are usually stronger, more vigorous, more insect and disease resistant, and you can always graft on top of them. So if these grow out and to be 2 or 3 feet tall, healthy, strong seedlings, I can graft any citrus on here that I want to, that I can get a scion from. Wouldn't that be neat? This is one of those deals where you can make the cocktail trees with different types of scions on it. But anyway, that's another whole story. But the reason we want to know if it's polyembryonic or monoembryonic is polyembryonic will come true to seed. And what I usually do is I let them go. Nature takes care of it. Or you can go ahead and cut some of the cuttings back or some of the stems back. When we start working on avocados more, I think I have an avocado that is polyembryonic, and it's really obvious. So if this is a polyembryonic, there's only going to be 1 seed, 2 stems. I can cut the stem off, 1 of them off, and let all the energy go into one. Or I can just let it stay like this, and nature may take care of it, and 1 of the little stems will die off. I have a really pretty mango tree out front that was polyembryonic, and I left it. And now it hasn't fruited yet. It's not quite old enough to fruit. But here's this big, gorgeous mango tree with multiple stems. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to dig these up because I'm actually going to reuse my pot here for my lemon seeds that I took out earlier. You can use your fingers, a knife, a spoon, a spatula, anything you want. Just to gently go down underneath. And we are really wet. We've had 2.5 days of rain, and it has really compacted everything. So I want to show you this. Nice long little radical root. Sometimes the seed is still on. So I have some pots fixed, but for right now I'm just going to lay them on the top of the pot. Here's a nice big healthy one. Wow, look at that root system. It's ready to go. And all of these came from the same lemon or 2 lemons. They were all planted at the same time, same soil, watered the same amount, and yet different growth systems. That's how nature is. If you can save the dirt, save the dirt. If you can't, that's fine. Almost to that one with 2 stems. Okay, well, here we go. I'm really interested in seeing if this is a polyembryonic. No, it was just two seeds up close together. Shucky darns. Okay, but very nice root system. And they smell really good. And as I've mentioned before, lemon trees make gorgeous little ornamental trees. You can grow them as houseplants. You can grow them outside if you're in a planting zone that will support it. They smell good. They're really pretty. So all I'm going to do is go in here, soften this dirt up that's been compacted from all of our rain. Now I did grow everything outside. I have a little hoop hothouse that I put some of my little seeds and baby seedlings and stuff like that in. And this pot is loaded with really good drainage holes. This is just all-purpose soil. It has lots of composted material in it. So that's basically ready for my next batch of seeds. It's already damp. But what I'm going to do is go ahead and plant these because I don't want them laying out and drying out. I've already got my labels on all of them. These are trade gallon pots. Plant them basically where they were in your original seeding pot. Make sure all of your root system is covered up good and they're snugged in good. That's it. Already got my label. Now, when I get all these done, what I'm going to do is put them in my little plant spa. Now, I have made a video. I don't know if I've actually posted it yet. Look at that. I mean, I could actually go ahead and put this in a gallon container, but for right now, it's going in here. I'm going to put all these in my little plant spa. That's just a container that holds water that I can put nutrition in. So I'm going to put these in with some Epsom salts, about a tablespoon, maybe a tablespoon and a half of Epsom salts to a gallon of water. Epsom salts has lots of magnesium, and they're going to help with the transplant shock. And this is a perfect time for me to be doing this. We're still kind of cool. We aren't, triple-digit heat yet here in Zone 9B. So they'll have time to recover from the transplant shock. And what I will do is keep these in partial shade for a week or two and let them harden off. And harden off just means getting used to more sunshine. Look at that little root system. So it doesn't take long to uppot or transplant, whatever you want to call it, your little seedlings. If you can, when you're taking your seedlings out, you can leave a little soil on it. If you don't, that's fine. But you do want to go ahead and plant them as soon as you take them out of their seeding pot. So that's it. Now I am going to have to get one more pot ready for the two little seeds that were right next to each other. So they each have their own little pot. Nice. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and with the next pot I will have 8 little seedlings. That's a pretty good germination rate for winter. And we had some days that we got down into the low 30s. We didn't have a hard freeze, but it did get really cold. Now, let's go ahead and plant the seeds that I extracted. And again, if you're going to do the wet paper towel method to germinate your seeds, you would just leave them in here longer. I put them in here in case I couldn't get out right away to get them planted, and I didn't want them to dry out. Ooh, they are looking good. Nice, fat, plump seeds. Now, you can sow these, just pick a handful up and scatter them, or you can place them. It is up to you. You can put them in a container like this, or you can put them in individual cells, or little individual 4-packs, whatever you'd like to do. I like using containers like this. For one thing, I don't have to move around a bunch of little pots since I do grow outside. And this is easier for me. I should have a higher germination rate this time since we're going into warmer weather. But let me share this. Again, I'm in Zone 9B, which is considered tropical, subtropical. It was 41 yesterday, and it was 43.6 this morning. That's cold. Tropical fruit likes 60 degrees and above. They aren't happy in 50-degree weather. They really aren't happy in 40-degree weather. So there's my seeds. They're plump moist, they didn't dry out, which is good. Now I can go through and just mash each seed down a little bit. I fluff the soil back up so it's nice and soft. Or I can come back and I can just sprinkle some soil on the top. Do it either way, whatever you want to do. Sometimes when I'm just sowing the seeds kind of like I just did and not really being persnickety about how I place them, this is really good because if you get a couple on top of each other, you can separate them out a little bit more. I expect to see some growth in about 2 weeks, maybe faster now that we're getting a little warmer during the day. But it's those nighttime temperatures you kind of have to pay attention to with tropical plants. If you have a hot house, garage, sunroom, something like that, or you have a room place in your house that you can do this, wonderful. So that's it. Now, lightly, just go over the top. You want really good seed to soil contact. I'm not even going to water them right now because the soil is damp. The seeds were damp. I'm just going to let them rest. Now these will go into an indirect bright light somewhere where it's warm. So I'm going to put them back into my little hoop house. And that will keep them warm for these overnight temperatures. And I'm just going to put my label back in that says lemon. Now, I didn't notice any of these particularly looking like they were polyembryonic. And sometimes you can't tell because, let me dig one back up here. Where this one is smooth and kind of the same size, if you've got a polyembryonic, you'll have little humps. And it looks like there's 2 embryos in there. So this is just one. But that's how you tell. And it's just fun. That's all. It's fun. And the more you do it, the better you'll get. And sometimes I still get fooled. Easier on big seeds, so. That's it. These are planted. They'll go warm. I'm going to put the pots in my little spa. Only a few minutes, everything's done. That's it. I'll finish putting this one up. Well, that's it. I'm going to stop now. I got some more stuff to plant. I'll talk to you later. Have a fantastic day.